Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack fascinating stories, really get under the hood, and hopefully give you something interesting to think about.
Absolutely. Cutting through the noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And today we're digging into a really intriguing piece of what's an old Chinese narrative called Two of Everything.
Two of everything. Simple title.
Simple title, but the story. It takes quite a journey. We're following Mr. and Mrs. Hoktak, whose lives get completely turned upside down by a discovery they make.
And it's not just about getting rich quick, is it? It seems to touch on something deeper.
That's the core of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you think about abundance, what that really means, and how unexpected events can reshape everything, even relationships.
Right.
So let's set the scene. Think about this. What if you found something just lying around that could instantly double anything you put inside it?
Anything at all.
Anything. That's the setup. Mr. and Mrs. Hoktak, they're old, they're poor, and one day they find this large brass pot in their garden.
Just there.
Just there. Nothing obviously special about it at first glance. Okay, so Mr. Hoktak, maybe just messing around, maybe curious, he drops his empty purse into it, and then, completely by accident, Mrs. Hoktak's hairpin falls in.
The accidental discovery trope. Classic.
Right. And what happens next is, well, you can imagine, pretty mind-blowing for them. They reach in, and there are two purses and two hairpins.
Wow. Instant doubling.
Instantly. Suddenly, this pot means they can have two of anything they want. Food, blankets, tools, you name it.
For a couple described as poor, that must have felt like a miracle, the sheer wonder of it.
Totally. Imagine going from having nothing to potentially having double of everything.
It's the ultimate get-rich-quick scheme, but like magic. It solves all their material problems, right? Or seems to.
It certainly seems to at first. They get all the things they need, maybe things they just wanted. But you know how these stories go.
There's always a catch or a twist.
Yeah, exactly. The story takes a very sharp turn. It stops being about just things. One day, Mr. Hoktak kicks the door open. Maybe his hands were full.
Oops.
And Mrs. Hoktak, who was leaning over the pot, maybe looking inside, she gets startled, loses her balance.
Oh, no. Don't tell me.
Yep, she falls right into the magic pot.
Right into the pot. Okay, so now what?
Well, Mr. Hoktak pulls her out,
Oh,
and then he pulls out another Mrs. Hoktak.
two Mrs. Hoktak. So it duplicates people, too.
Apparently so. And that
Yeah.
that changes everything. It's not about having two coats anymore. It's deeply personal.
It really shifts the whole dynamic, doesn't it? You go from this kind of simple material gain, this fairy tale wish fulfillment, to a really complex human dilemma. Suddenly it's about identity, relationships. What does it even mean to have two of your spouse?
What do you do? Most people might panic, right?
Yeah.
Or see it as a huge problem.
Absolutely. A problem with no obvious solution. How do you, unduplicate a person?
Well, Mr. Hoktak's response is unexpected, to say the least.
Yeah.
Faced with two Mrs. Hoktaks, he thinks about it and then,
He tries to choose one. Or get rid of one. That sounds messy.
nope, he decides to jump into the pot himself.
He jumps in too. Why would he do that?
That's the fascinating part. Maybe he thought, well, if there are two of her, there should be two of me.
So instead of solving the problem, he doubles down on it. Literally.
Pretty much. And the result, and now there are two Mr. Hoktaks as well.
Okay, so now we have two Mr. Hacktacks and two Mrs. Hacktacks. 4 people.
Right, two identical couples.
And how does that work out? You'd expect maybe jealousy, confusion, conflict.
That's what makes the ending so interesting. The story says they all just got along, became friends.
All 4 of them.
All 4. They built 2 identical houses right next to each other, filled them with identical furniture, duplicated by the pot. They just adapted, formed a bigger, unconventional family unit.
Huh. That's surprisingly harmonious. No fighting over who's the real one. No existential crises laid out in the text.
Not according to this telling. It presents it as this sort of pragmatic and peaceful resolution. They had a duplication situation, so they duplicated the whole setup.
It's a very different take on abundance, isn't it? Not just material abundance, but an abundance of people, of relationships. And they found a way to manage it collaboratively.
Exactly. It avoids the typical conflict narrative you might expect. From finding a pot to doubling their family and living in matching houses, it's quite the arc.
It really subverts expectations.
It does. It makes you wonder about our own assumptions about duplication, identity, and what constitutes a problem.
Definitely. And maybe that leaves us, and you listening, with a thought to chew on. What does this old tale suggest about dealing with the unexpected? When faced with something radically new, like extreme abundance or even, well, duplication, How flexible can we be? How creatively can communities or families or even just relationships adapt?
It suggests maybe more creatively than we often think.
Perhaps. It's a story that seems simple on the surface, but it really does invite you to think differently about solutions, about resources, and about just getting along when life throws you a curveball or a duplicate spouse.
A fascinating place to leave it. Something to ponder. Thanks for digging into this with me.
My pleasure. Always interesting.